Hello, my name is Spencer Stern. I am the Senior Director of the Global Business Applications Practice at Catapult, a Quisitive company. And thank you for joining us today for our event about driving digital transformation in state and local government. In today's demo, one of my colleagues, Jose Flores, is going to be sharing with you a video on how we are utilizing Microsoft technology to improve the grants management process. Before we jump into the video, I wanted to identify a few key differentiators of our approach to leveraging Microsoft technology for the grants management solution. The first one is it takes a very constituent-centric approach. So it focuses on the people who are not only the folks who are administering the grant, but also the folks who are applying for the grants, and makes it easy for them to make the applications, to submit their payments, to track the payment progress, etc. It really is a true life cycle management of the grants from inception to conclusion to resolution. Another huge benefit is that it's built on the Microsoft platform, very easy to customize. It's very simple to enhance it, and you get the benefit of all the feature functionality that Microsoft pours into their business applications platform automatically pushed through with the online updates that are done several times a year. Another key benefit is it drives significant process efficiencies by moving more uh, information to the not only to the application for grants management, but also to the portal, as we'll demonstrate shortly. By pushing all this content there, you're making it so much easier for the users to access it. They no longer have to, go to websites, call up people, wait in line, any of that sort of stuff. It makes the whole grant application and grant management process very simple. Lastly, another huge benefit is it streamlines the maintenance cost. You understand how much it's going to cost every year, and if you want to make changes to it, those types of costs can be very simple and typically very low cost in order to handle the maintenance of it. So we're about to jump into this presentation here. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jose Flores. He's a business applications consultant at Quisitive. Once again, thank you guys. Thank you so much for attending this virtual conference. And at the conclusion of the demo that Jose is doing, if you could please scan the QR codes and provide your feedback, we would greatly welcome that. Thanks again.
Hello, my name is Jose Flores, and today I will be showing a brief demonstration of our grant management system, which is built on top of the Power Platform. So this is our homepage, and this is what users will see when they log in. This is currently a grant program dashboard that we built to help program officers keep track of their grants, how many grants they have a year, what stage they're in, um, active, inactive, things of that nature. These can all be updated. Let's go ahead and start looking at a grant here. Let's click this first one. The first thing I'd like to point your attention to is this top bar. This is our business process flow. And this helps guide the user to input information, and also lets them know which stage of the life cycle of this grant they're in. And so we have three distinct phases. So this first phase, initialize, is where you would want to input data like the deadlines, start date, end date, how much funding we have. Then active would open this grant up to the applicants so they can apply for this grant. And then closeout would be where you don't want to accept any more applications, or the funding limit's been reached, or something along those lines. So this first tab is the summary section. So this is just a brief overview of this particular grant. If we move on to the fiscal section, this will show just the funding information. So this is how much funding we have allocated, and these are auto-calculated numbers that let the user know how much has been approved, how much is remaining, And you can also set your minimum, maximum amounts. Over here, we have the forecasting tool, so you could forecast um, how many applications you expect and their percentage to qualify or be disqualified. In this right grid, we have an area where you can track your funding sources. So if this grant is receiving funding from multiple sources, you could track that information here. This applications tab is just to let just informs the user on how many applications are currently open for this grant. And on the scoring tab is where you can implement scoring criteria. So we have a couple of different controls here where you can add, set a limit of 1 to 10, 1 to however many you'd like. You can also type the value. Um, you can add the scoring criteria in these areas. So let's go ahead and add one. And let's say social benefit. And you can have a weight. Let's do 25%, save and close. And then that will populate over here. Um, in this area in the middle, you can have, this is just another version or way you could implement scoring. This could be impact scoring. You can have these sliders here, and you can also add new impacts, very similar to the scoring criteria, but it works in the same manner. And same with non-numeric. It's very similar to this. In this vendor section, you could track approved, preferred, or denied vendors, and have different logic based on their category as well. Let's go ahead and let's create an application. So this is our portal that we built, and we are currently logged in as George Washington. This is the home page that you'll see when George logs in. And let's go to this applications tab. And from here, you'll be able to see all the applications that this user has created. And let's go ahead and create a new one. And let's do George Washington campaign, can't spell, paying funds. And primary contact, George Washington. These lookups are filtered based on the account that you're logged in as. So George Washington is associated with this account. You can also select which grant you're applying for. So let's select the one we were looking at. And the application type, let's set that as new. And we'll mess with the grant, with the program officer shortly. So we go ahead to the next section. And so how much does George Washington need? Let's put 100,000. And need funds. So this is our this is the last tab. So it just lets you review the information that that the user has inputted, and then once they're okay with this, you can go ahead and submit it, and the application will be submitted. Here you'll see the breadcrumb of how we got here. So we can go back to the applications, and you will see the new application that we just created. So now let's hop back into the Power Platform here. And let's go to the application section. And you'll notice the new application has been created. And let's go ahead and run through this. So this is under the assumption that you're a grant, program officer. And the first thing I want to point out is this top business process flow. So this will again help guide the users to inputting information as needed throughout the life cycle of this application. So the first thing we need to put is who is going to be the program officer. So that would be me. And you can also, set fields required. That's what these red dots are. These fields are required, these are not. You can also add buttons in here to send out custom logic using Microsoft Flows or classic workflows. Let's go ahead and move to the next stage. And yeah, so now we are in the second stage, and you'll notice in the background, when moving stages, we have the ability to um, create emails automatically, tasks, and so in this instance, we have sent out an email to George Washington, just letting them know, hey George, we received your application and it's ready for review. We'll let you know when we start that process. And we're going to go ahead and move on to these other tabs here. So this is the fiscal section. Here you can create, details. So for example, let's say 50,000 we want to put towards travel. And let's add another 50,000 and let's put that towards equipment. And so here you can track in the amount that's been requested. And we'll come back to this page in a little bit. On this tab, the grant program tab, it's just a quick overview of what's happening on the grant that is related to this application. So you just see a quick view of information there. This is where the scoring tab is where you could again implement any sort of scoring criteria similar to the area that was on the grant. And let's go back here and let's go ahead and finish off stage 2. So, we can set a follow-up date. So let's set that for 2 weeks from now. And no revisions required. Hit next stage. And again, so whenever we change stages, you can send off automatic emails and create tasks, or pretty much a lot of custom logic here. But in our case, we have created a couple tasks in emails. So let's take a look at these. So the first one is to George Washington, letting him know, hey, your application is now under review. And we also created a follow-up task. And you'll notice that the due date is set to the follow-up date that we had set in our stage 2. And you'll also notice two other items. So we have an email to John Connor and another task. So who is John Connor? John Connor is currently my manager in this system. So what we've done is we've sent an email to my manager saying, hey, grant is ready for your approval. And then we also created a task for my manager, so that he can track, just in case if he doesn't get to his emails, he'll still be able to track his open tasks that need to be done. And so this is review application. Go ahead and go back. And so now we're going to pretend that I am my boss, John Connor. So I'm coming in here and I see we have two details. So we'll go through here, click, and we don't see anything wrong with this. So we're saying, sure, 50,000, we approve that and submit it. And whenever that, that status changes, you can recalculate this and it will automatically update this amount and say, okay, 50,000 has been approved. Let's go ahead and go to this next detail. Say, and switch the status to executed. And now what executed means in this context is that that money has actually been paid out. And so we can refresh this. And that has been updated to 100,000. Click here. And 50,000 has been dispersed. And what's pretty neat is if you go back here and let's say we want to go look at the grant and we go to the fiscal information, we can recalculate this value that says 500,000 and it now says 600,000. And so those will automatically update. So now we're back in the on the application, and we can go ahead and John Connor can come in here and say, I've reviewed this application, mark it as complete. And, I'm going to go ahead and approve it as John Connor. And okay. And let's say we are in the awarding phase and finish. And so now if we go back to this application here, as George Washington, you log back in a couple of days later, refresh this page, and you'll notice that those amounts have been updated. You are currently being awarded, and you should have received your $50,000 for campaign funds. And that is the basic life cycle of an application. You we can change these as needed, but that's just how we have it set up. The last thing I'd like to show is this application dashboard. This is to help the grant program officers keep track of their applications and how much has been uh, dispersed or approved. You can see how much is approved by categories. These are current tasks that need to be completed. You can even sort it by what's due in 30 days. This is just a pie chart showing how many applications are in each stage. And like with um, all Power Platform charts, you can click into it and you can filter it out by application number, and you can do, let's say, a chart like that. So we can see all the applications with how much funds have been allocated for each. And that is a quick demonstration of our grant management system, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.